Welcome to Charts This Week. My name's David Linton, and this week's edition from Monday the 3rd of October comes to you from London. And we start with crude. Big jump this morning in crude prices. We've just come back above this $50 level, obviously a very psychologically important level. First time in a couple of months that we've 6 weeks we've been above this level, so that is significant, and we are back above the cloud. Now at the moment the cloud level for the price in the lagging line is around 46.50, so we'd need now quite a fall to turn bearish again. So looks like that OPEC announcement has triggered some bullishness in the crude price. This is going against the prevailing seasonal trend, of course, and there are years where the oil price does buck that trend, so it doesn't always follow. We have had years where the oil price rises through the seasonal trend, and maybe that's just one of those years. So at the moment, the prices have returned to bullish mode. If we look at the 60-minute chart for Brent crude, just the T key on your system, we now have an upside target 54.70. That's 7.8% away, and on WTI again looking bullish on the short term, 51.40, so there's about 6% upside there. So we are seeing some strength coming back into crude, and that's quite interesting. So if you do watch the crude price very closely, keep an eye on the 1 minute charts. That will show you any counter trend moves. And at the moment, really, we are still very much in this sort of 40 to 52 sort of range. So we've got to see whether we break and run higher. But at the moment, we are in bullish mode on crude. So that is a change for the week. If we take a look at US NatGas, bullish above the cloud on the daily. Here we see on the 60-minute chart we're also bullish, and interestingly again on the seasonality, this is a time of year where we now start to recover. This is actually the daily chart, by the way. 60-minute chart here has turned a bit bearish. This $3 level is pretty important for NatGas, and if we just press the T key on your system, downside targets 282, 286, and into a new downtrend. So it does look like gas may well fall this week. The 1 minute chart, a lot of data here. Again, the T key will turn that into targets, and we see here 283, 282, 274. So quite a bit of downside pressure there this week for US NatGas. If we take a look at European products, NBP still just below the cloud and hitting some resistance, but on the 60-minute chart, and the correlation with crude going a bit negative. So we've seen the strength coming into crude, not yet fully following through in NBP front month. So we are just seeing a slight deterioration in the correlation there, which is negative. If we look at the 60-minute chart, again we're just testing the cloud here, but we are still very much in bullish mode. Press the T key on your system, and we do have upside targets 47.95, 48.60. This of course all OTC data from either Trayport or the Updata energy feed. If you're looking at the 1 minute chart, so this is all the trade data, press the T key, and we do have a downside target there, 39. That's a full almost 10% downside based on that sell-off that we saw last week. But at the moment, we're not seeing other targets kick through. So just keep an eye on the 1 minute chart. So the very mixed picture there for MBP. TTF bearish below the cloud and hitting some resistance, but again on the 60-minute, as with MBP, still above the cloud. Might be just running a little bit out of steam here. Press the T key. We do have upside targets around 4, 5, 6, 7%. So at the moment it is looking quite bullish, but again just watch for any pullbacks there. NCG not looking as good, and Gaspool just holding the trend at the moment, but keep an eye on the gas markets through those short-term charts. If we look at European power, German power not yet fully above the cloud on the weekly chart. This is the long-term chart, of course, and we haven't actually been above this cloud on the lagging line now for several years. This is all OTC data going back, but interestingly the price is convincingly through the cloud now, and all we'd have to do is hold this move sideways for the coming weeks and months, and we would be wandering into long-term bullish territory. So this is looking like quite a trend change on German power, and I will be speaking about this more at the EMART conference in Amsterdam next month. So first of all, we look at the daily chart, again pretty bullish above the cloud, and on the 60-minute chart. So the picture is pretty bullish for power. We did have a big run up last week. We've had pulled back a little bit. Press the T key to get the targets. An upside target of 33, that's a full 12% away. We do have a downside target that is not activated. We had a little mini one given here to 28.80, which is where we went to. So you can't ignore these targets when you see them. And of course, if you're trading German power, the 1 minute chart is really the chart to look at. We had this big pullback and in the price, but we're back into bullish territory here. So keep an eye on that chart. The French market looking very, very strong. French power really bullish above the cloud there on the daily, and the 60-minute chart also bullish. Again, all OTC prices. Press the T key, and we see another 2.5% upside to 40 euros. So quite a good chart there. Much the same picture on Italian power, bullish on the daily chart now through the cloud, and if we just look at the targets for that, we do see that we have got some upside, around 8 or 9% here, so quite key there, but there is resistance. But with those French and German power charts looking so bullish, maybe Italian power will come through as well. And we see here on UK power it's bullish above the cloud as well. Quick look at currencies. So we start by looking at the US dollar. The US dollar is basically the dollar index is bullish. We see here above the cloud, both on the weekly and on the daily and on the 60-minute. We're just holding this bullishness. This is the euro chart, which is also bullish. So that's a bit of an anomaly. We've got both dollar and euro both bullish, but the euro only just. And we see here that we have been oscillating through the 60-minute cloud. If you want the targets in the short term, here we go. We've got upside targets to 114 and 40 and 114.90, but we also have got some downward targets. Any new lows below 109.40, and we would activate this target down to parity. So we do need to just keep an eye on any dramatic moves in the euro. And here we see the 1 minute chart. If you're trading Forex, really valuable. Just adjust the box size down here, and at the moment not much action right this minute, but we do have an upside target if we can get above this 112.50 mark to 114.25. All the action is actually in sterling. We've been pretty bearish on sterling. Sterling was down as much as 1% this morning. Remember, in August we put out a report to clients saying this downside target had been activated. That was highly significant with a close below the closing low on the Brexit move. So the move lower confirming that downside target. 94 cents. It's amazing. 94 cents to the pound. That's really quite hard to believe, but that's what the target's saying. And we got this 108. But in fact, the 60-minute chart will give more reliable targets in the short term. And we see here we've got 125, 126.30, 127. So we're expecting a pretty turbulent week for sterling. It's got off to a bad start. We see the euro chart. This is inverted. So this is 87 pence to a euro, so a euro buying more and more pence basically. The Norwegian kroner against the euro just falling away a little bit there, so euro strength kicking in. Swiss, not a lot of action, and sterling Swiss, I look at the Aussie sterling chart and the sterling Swiss chart just to see for any new lows for divergence, and we have been seeing that in those currencies. So sterling still looking pretty bad. Last of all, we take a look at stock markets. S&P did manage to get back into that territory last week, where it's just above the 21.50 level, 21.68. But we really are, we're bullish on all fronts, but we really are struggling to get above this 21.80 level. So it is bullish, but we just really are struggling to get above that. And US election now starting to probably weigh quite heavily on US markets. NASDAQ, much the same picture, bullish on all fronts. Bullish upside targets here. The bearish ones all came off in the summer, so that's quite good. The long-term bearish targets removed, but the uncertainty of the election will create some volatility in the next few weeks, probably. FTSE, bullish on the weekly, bullish on the daily, bullish on the 60-minute. can't just quite get above this 7,000 level, but this week might be the shot that we get at it. Markets all looking a little bit better here, upside targets, so back above 7,000 for FTSE would be psychologically important. DAX is closed today for a public holiday, but interestingly, we can just see from last week we're just starting to get into this bullish territory. We're not quite there yet on the weekly. The daily is still bullish. The 60-minute did turn bearish on sentiment around Deutsche last week, but Deutsche Bank. But we are now coming back above the cloud on the price. But we do have this downside target, as much as 9% downside. So the German market still has some jitters on that. Taking a look at Asia, we see not a lot of action in Asia last night. Japan was just up just under 1%. Starting to look a little bit better on this medium-term time frame. The long-term, there's a shortage of targets in the near side, but we've got some historical targets here. But we're bearish on the weekly, bullish on the daily, bearish on the 60-minute. So a very mixed picture. China, take a look at the S&P, the Shanghai Composite, and still bearish on the weekly, bullish on the daily, but bearish on the 60-minute, and a downside target of 6%. So China's still not out of the woods and looking a little bit bearish. Just while we're in the Far East, we'll have a quick look at the Australian market. Aussie market looking a little bit better, just getting above on the weekly, bullish on the daily, bullish on the 60-minute. And we have got a short-term upside target now of about 8%. So we are seeing a bit of an improvement there. India also is another market that has been looking very strong, bullish on the weekly, bullish on the daily, but has turned a bit bearish on the 60-minute chart. And we've got downside potential of about 4%. So we do need to be aware of that. So just keep an eye on those shorter-term charts. Last of all, look at gold. Gold is still bullish on the weekly, bullish on the daily, has been bearish for the last week or two on the 60-minute chart, and we do have downside potential of around 3%. Still holding the 1200 level. We'd be back through 1300 on that basis, but the long-term target's still looking pretty good. So short-term picture not as good as it has been. That's it for this week. Until next week, happy charting. See you then.